If you think your face belongs to you, think again. This is what happens when artificial intelligence decides who you are, and you don't get a say. Before we begin, I have a question for you. Where are you listening from? Let me know in the comments below. It's amazing to see how far our stories can reach. Now join me as we begin the story. It wasn't always tense between us. We had a normal life. Not perfect, not dramatic, just steady. I lived with my partner Ethan in a small apartment outside Austin, Texas. Morning coffee at the same kitchen counter. Shoes kicked off by the door. Soft arguments about laundry and what to watch at night. We got along. Even when things weren't rosy, there was trust. Or at least I thought there was. I worked a regular job. Nothing public-facing. No spotlight. I posted occasionally online, mostly photos of sunsets, my dog, a coffee cup by a window. I never thought of myself as visible. I felt anonymous, safe. That belief lasted until a Tuesday afternoon. I remember the light in the room, late daylight leaking through the blinds, the hum of my laptop fan, my phone buzzing once on the table, then again. I ignored it at first. I was answering emails, half focused, my leg bouncing under the desk. When I finally picked up the phone, my fingers felt slightly numb. I noticed it, but didn't think much of it. The message was from someone I barely knew, a former coworker. Just one line. "Hey, is this you?" There was a link underneath. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the screen instead. My mouth went dry. I swallowed once, then again like that would help. I told myself it was probably nothing. A mistake. Spam. Someone else who looked like me. My thumb hovered over the screen longer than it should have. When I tapped the link, my body reacted before my brain did. My chest tightened so suddenly I had to lean forward in the chair. I felt heat rush up my neck. My hands started shaking, small at first, then enough that I had to set the phone down on the desk. On the screen was my face. Not a photo I'd ever taken, not a pose I recognized, but it was unmistakably me. My eyes, my mouth, my hairline, my skin. And the body underneath it wasn't mine. I felt something hollow out inside my stomach, like air dropping out of a balloon. I couldn't breathe properly. I stood up too fast, the chair scraping loudly behind me, then immediately had to sit back down because my legs felt weak, almost rubbery. I scrolled, slowly, each movement deliberate, like I was afraid my hands might stop working if I rushed. There were more images, different angles, different scenarios, all of them fake, all of them intimate, sexual, explicit, none of them real. I pressed my lips together hard, trying not to make a sound. My apartment felt suddenly too quiet. The refrigerator clicked on in the background, loud and mechanical. I focused on that noise just to ground myself. This wasn't revenge porn. This wasn't a hacked phone. This was artificial, generated. Someone had used my face, my digital footprint, photos scraped from social media. A machine had stitched together a version of me that had never existed, and people were sharing it. I could see the view counts, the reposts, comments scrolling underneath like it was entertainment, like it was nothing. My hands moved to my arms without me noticing. I wrapped them around myself, gripping my sleeves, nails pressing into fabric. I felt cold, even though the room was warm. I closed the browser, opened it again, like if I checked twice, it might disappear. It didn't. I stood up and walked to the bathroom, my phone still in my hand. The mirror over the sink caught my reflection. I stared at my face, the real one. Pale, eyes wide, lips slightly parted. I leaned closer to the mirror, almost touching it. I looked the same. That was the worst part. I splashed water on my face. My hands were trembling so much that water dripped down my wrists and onto the floor. I didn't bother wiping it up. When Ethan came home later that evening, I was sitting on the couch in the dark. I hadn't turned on a single light. My phone was face down on the coffee table like it might bite me if I touched it again. He asked if I was okay. I tried to answer, but my throat felt tight. When I finally spoke, my voice sounded wrong, thin, like it wasn't fully mine anymore. I showed him the images. He didn't say anything at first. He just stared at the screen. I watched his jaw tense. His thumb scroll, then stop. Scroll again. I waited for anger, for outrage, for him to say this was wrong, that it was disgusting, that someone should be held responsible. Instead, he said quietly, "How is this even possible?" That question landed heavier than he meant it to, because I didn't know the answer, and neither did anyone else. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun slowly above me. My phone sat on the nightstand, face down, but I could still feel it there, like a weight. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those images again. Versions of myself that weren't me. Versions I couldn't control. I realized something then, lying there in the dark. This wasn't just embarrassment. This wasn't just violation. This was the beginning of losing ownership over my own identity. And I had no idea how far it would go. The next morning, everything felt slightly off, like the world had shifted a few centimeters to the left while I was asleep. I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee I didn't drink. The surface had gone cold against my palms, but I kept holding it anyway, just to feel something solid. My phone lay next to it, screen dark. Every few seconds, my eyes flicked toward it on their own. Ethan moved around behind me, opening drawers, clearing his throat, trying to act normal. The sound of plates clinking made me flinch. I noticed it, and that scared me more than the noise itself. I called in sick to work. I couldn't imagine sitting at my desk, answering emails, pretending nothing had happened while strangers stared at a fake version of my body online. The thought made my stomach twist. When I finally picked up my phone again, there were more messages. Some were from people I knew. Short, awkward check-ins. "Hey, just wanted to ask if you're okay. I saw something weird online. Hope it's not real." Others were from people I didn't know at all. I didn't open those. Instead, I started reporting the images, one by one. Click, fill out form, submit, automated response. No human name, no promise, just a generic message saying the content would be reviewed. Reviewed by who? By what? My fingers cramped as I worked. I had to keep shaking out my hands, flexing them because they kept going numb. The room felt too small, the air too thick. At some point, I realized I'd been holding my breath without noticing. Hours passed like that. Every time I refreshed, there were more reposts, new accounts, different platforms, the same images, slightly altered, cropped, filtered, enhanced. It felt like trying to empty the ocean with a cup. Ethan watched me from the couch. I could feel his eyes on me even when I wasn't looking at him. When I finally turned my head, he asked, "Why would someone choose you?" The question was quiet, almost thoughtful, but it landed like a slap. I stared at him, my mouth opening without sound. My chest tightened again, sharp this time. I felt heat behind my eyes, but no tears came. "I don't know," I said finally. He nodded slowly, like that answer confirmed something for him. After that, he started asking questions that didn't feel like concern anymore. What photos had I posted online before? How public were my profiles, really? Did I ever send pictures privately to anyone? Each question made my shoulders curl inward a little more. I started sitting with my arms crossed, legs tucked up, taking up as little space as possible. I hated that I was doing it, but I couldn't stop. At night, I slept in short bursts. I'd wake up with my heart racing, sheets twisted around my legs, my jaw sore from clenching. Sometimes I reached for my phone without realizing it, checking notifications in the dark, squinting at the glow. Once, around 3 a.m, I went to the bathroom and caught my reflection again. The overhead light was harsh. It showed every shadow under my eyes. I leaned on the sink, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles turned white. I whispered my own name out loud, just to remind myself that I still existed outside of a screen. Over the next few days, the story started spreading beyond the images themselves. Articles, think pieces, debates about AI, consent, technology moving too fast. My case wasn't named, but it was there, hidden inside phrases like millions of women affected and non-consensual deepfake content. I should have felt comforted knowing I wasn't alone. Instead, it made everything worse. Because if this could happen to so many people, what chance did I have of stopping it? Ethan grew distant, not angry, not explosive, just colder. He spent more time on his phone, scrolling, reading. When I asked what he was looking at, he shrugged. "I'm just trying to understand this stuff," he said. But his eyes didn't meet mine. One evening, I heard him talking quietly in the bedroom while I stood in the hallway. The door was half closed. His voice was low, tense. "She says they're fake, but they look real," he said. A pause. I don't know what to think. My legs felt heavy, like they were filled with wet sand. I backed away slowly, careful not to make the floor creak. When I reached the kitchen, I sat down on the floor, my back against the cabinet, my knees pulled to my chest. I pressed my forehead against my arms and stayed there for a long time. Something fundamental had shifted. The images weren't just changing how strangers saw me. They were changing how the person closest to me saw me. I started avoiding mirrors. I showered with the lights off. I changed clothes quickly, keeping my eyes down, like my own body had betrayed me somehow. At the same time, anger began to simmer underneath everything else. A slow, quiet anger. It showed up in small ways. My jaw tightening when I got another automated rejection. My fingers digging into my jeans when I read comments, debating whether women should expect this in the age of AI. One afternoon, while sitting alone on the couch, I realized my hands were shaking even though I wasn't holding anything. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about images. This was about control. I couldn't control how fast the content spread. I couldn't control how people interpreted it. And now I couldn't even control the narrative inside my own relationship. The technology had taken my face. And slowly, quietly, it was taking pieces of my life with it. The breaking point didn't come with shouting. It came quietly, on an ordinary evening when everything finally settled into place in the worst possible way. Ethan and I were sitting at opposite ends of the couch. The TV was on but muted. The room was dim except for the blue light flickering across the walls. I had my knees pulled up, arms wrapped around them, my body curved inward without thinking about it. He cleared his throat. "I talked to someone today," he said. I felt my stomach tighten immediately. My breath slowed, like my body was bracing before my mind caught up. "About what?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. He rubbed his hands together, staring at the floor. I noticed a small dark spot on the carpet near his foot and found myself focusing on it, counting the threads, anything to stay grounded. "About the images," he said finally. "About how real they look." The room felt suddenly too small. I shifted, my back pressing into the armrest. "And?" I said. He sighed, a long, heavy sound. "They said once something like this is out there, it never really goes away. I nodded slowly. I know. There was a pause. In it, I could hear the refrigerator kick on. The faint hum filled the silence. He looked up at me then, really looked at me. And for the first time since this started, I didn't recognize his expression. I just don't know how I'm supposed to live with this, he said. The words landed deep, dull, and painful. Something inside me shifted. I felt it physically, like a weight sliding off my chest and dropping somewhere lower, heavier. I'm the one living with it, I said. He frowned. That's not what I meant. But it was what he meant, maybe not consciously. But it was there. I stood up slowly. My legs felt unsteady, but I stayed upright. I noticed my hands were clenched into fists, nails digging into my palms. I didn't choose this, I said. My voice surprised me. It was steadier than I felt. I didn't ask for it. And I'm done apologizing for something that was done to me. He didn't respond. He just watched me, his jaw tight, like he was measuring something. That was when I understood. The technology hadn't just violated me, it had exposed something that was already fragile. I went to the bedroom and started packing a bag. Not everything. Just enough. Clothes, my charger, my keys. Ordinary objects that suddenly felt important. Real. My hands shook as I folded shirts, but I kept going. Each movement was deliberate, grounding. When I walked past the mirror, I stopped. For a moment, I almost looked away out of habit. Instead, I faced it. I saw exhaustion, fear, anger, but I also saw myself. Not the version a machine created, not the version strangers consumed. The real one. Standing there, breathing. I left that night. The weeks after blurred together. I stayed with a friend, then another. I changed my routines, took different routes, deleted accounts, filed reports that went nowhere, got emails full of careful language and no accountability. Some days I felt strong, others I couldn't get out of bed. My body carried the stress even when my mind tried to move on. Tight shoulders, headaches, a constant buzzing under my skin. The images never fully disappeared. They still exist somewhere. I know that. But something else happened too. I stopped waiting for the world to fix it. I started reclaiming myself in small ways. Cooking meals again, walking outside without headphones, sitting in silence without reaching for my phone, letting my body feel present in space again. I learned something through all of this. Consent isn't just about bodies. It's about identity. And once technology can take that from you, the damage doesn't stop at the screen. It moves into your home, your relationships, your sense of self. People talk about the future like it's abstract, like it's theoretical. But I've lived in it. And if there's one thing I know now, it's this. Your face is not data. Your body is not content. And just because something can be created doesn't mean it should exist.